Dusty. Party. People are coming in. Spencer Lynn. What's up? What's up, everybody? Let's talk about investing. If you're new here, there's only 4 people in here so far. Ask your stock market questions. I'm a stock trader. If you're new, if you've never seen me, I've been trading stocks for 11 years, investing since I was a teenager, so around 20 years. Den Dog, what's up? Ask your investing questions. Ask me anything you want about the stock market. If I don't know it, I've got paper here. I'll write it down, and I'll do a video on it. What's up? What's up? Ask me your crypto questions. Not that I know a lot about crypto, but ask me anyway. And if I don't know, I'll send you over to Wendio, talking about day trading, stock trading, investing. Anyone got any questions? It's saying that there's only 6 people in here, but it says that boatloads of people are joining. So drop a comment. Let me know where you guys live. I'm in DC, Washington, DC. Let me know where you live. Leave it below in the comments where you're at. Let me know your swing trading, day trading, investing questions. I don't really have anything to talk about. I'm just kind of in here because I was in the middle of watching something on TV and thought I'd go live for a little bit and see if anyone had any investing questions. But it looks like nobody has any stock market questions. It's saying also that boatloads of people are joining, but only 10 people are in here. I don't know what's going on here. Anyone asking any questions and I just don't see them? No. Man, it is showing me that a massive amount of people are popping up in here, but now it only says 12 people are in here. None of my regulars. I don't see any of my regulars in here either. Someone throw a comment down so I know this live is working, or hit the screen, tap the screen, put some likes on there. Apparently that's supposed to do something. There we go. Iris. Hello. This was the weirdest live. I was live for a minute and it was lots of people were joining, but nobody, it showed nobody was in here. What's with the S&P 500 today? I don't know. What's going on in the world? It depends on what's going on globally, right? Russia's causing problems. Is there a new COVID strain this week? I don't know. Hey, Kits King, what's up? Anyone got any investing questions? By the way, with the S&P 500, whenever it's down, it might be a good idea to, I don't know what it closed down. Did it close down today? Maybe you add a little to your index fund if it really sold off hard. I don't think it did. I think it was down 170 points the last time I saw it. By the way, if you guys aren't following Iris, she's in here. She'll leave a comment again so everyone can go and click follow. She's a nurse, but she doesn't want to be a nurse. Is American Eagle a loser? The stock? I didn't even know they were publicly traded. There's Iris Ayala. Go follow her. She's brilliant. She's a nurse, but she doesn't want to be a nurse for much longer. She wants to be a finance person on TikTok. Good day. Hello. Where are you guys from? Hi, Beth. Any good trades today? Yeah. HNRG. Haldor Energy. I bought a couple days ago. Sold it this morning. Up. Yes, financially free is the goal. How you getting there? How do you get there? We can talk about that. Haldor was the only trade that I had today. I sold it. It went up a little bit higher, but I always say don't worry about that, right? The objective isn't to make all the money, just to make some of it. So you don't have to go out there and have a real job. That's what I would avoid at all costs if I could. As soon as I sold it, by the way, it hit my price target. It did end up going a little bit higher. As soon as I sold it, I went back onto the chart and I went back at the level where I bought it at 372, and I set another alert in that range to alert me next time it gets down to that level, because it seems to be the trading range. And next time it gets into that level, I will jump back in and I'll buy it again. Real job and growing investments accounts works too. You are absolutely right. It absolutely does. Real job just Doesn't appeal to me. Kids King. Oh yeah, you start next time. Next week, part-time trading. Are you going to document it at all on TikTok? You should. I think the Fed is trying to scare people into spending a little bit less. It's one way to bring down inflation. If people think huge rates are coming, then they cut back in preparation. Even if the rates don't actually come, it's a tactic. I think, Iris. Medic, hey. If I had a real job, what would it be? I mean, honestly, the only thing I'm qualified really to do would be like a membership consultant at a gym or something in the restaurant industry, which I loved and I really miss working in the restaurant industry. I really miss that, but I wouldn't want to own a restaurant. That would be too much work. I'm not really interested in that. You should document it because there's a lot of people on here. There's a lot of people on this app who want to be stock traders and love following like beginner journeys. Beginner journeys are huge. You know, even if you don't want to put your face on or say anything, you can always use the voice to text. Would be huge. Medic, I haven't seen you in a while. And yeah, also, Phil, I think maybe they are buying cheap, the Fed. Canadian boy, eh? I wish I didn't have to work. Yeah, I feel you. That's why I try to live below my means as much as I possibly can. Also, I don't have any kids. I'm not married, so I don't have anyone who like I feel obligated to, help out financially. Kids obviously are a huge cost, so I don't have that. I don't have any pets. Makes it a lot easier the less you have. Whoa. I'm sorry to hear that, Medic. Gold, it's a physical thing. You can always own it, and it's used for a lot of things. You have 3 kids, they're costly, I bet. Yeah, that makes it a little harder to switch to being a full-time trader. I do not rent. I own my apartment. I live in DC. I own it. But gold, if you don't want to buy gold, like physical gold, right? Like there are companies where you can buy gold and like they'll like store it for you. You don't ever physically own it, but they have it in their facilities. You can have physical gold in your closet, although I would talk to your homeowners, wherever you get your insurance from, make sure that they know that you have that, right? They'll always ask for like inventory, like what gold, jewelry, necklaces, tech stuff do you have? Or if you don't want to invest in physical gold, you can always buy mining companies like Yamaha Gold, and there's other gold stocks. The thing is about Elon, this will get some people in the live. Talking about Elon Musk is always popular. People seem to love that guy. As far as Twitter goes with Elon, it's really complicated. I don't know. I'm sure he knows what's going on. I don't know much about SoFi, but I will. I'll put it on my list if you want me to do a video on it. I don't know what Elon's... Was this all just because he got pissed at the company for like censoring people, so he went and spent billions of dollars on stock? Or does he have some larger play? I don't think Elon... I would stay away from Robinhood stock, at least at the moment. I think he wants more than 14% for sure. And if you're on the board of directors, you can't hold more than... I think it's like 14.9 or 15% of the stock. So he's off the board of directors, which I think also might have been done to maybe say like, well, because he broke the law, right? He wasn't supposed to acquire all that stock without telling anybody. And he acquired 9%. You're supposed to disclose once you've purchased 5%, you're supposed to disclose. He only disclosed once he was at 9%. So maybe him getting off the board was sort of like, a way to say like sorry and whatever, or maybe it was because he had larger plans and wants to do like a hostile takeover. I think, and does he want to do a hostile takeover? Does Elon Musk really want to own Twitter? Why? Like, I mean, I don't get it. I don't know what he's up to. I wouldn't buy Twitter if I was a billionaire. I don't even use Twitter. I don't own their stock. I haven't owned it for years. I'm intrigued. I want to know what he's like up to. I mean, I guess we'll find out sooner or later. He always has a plan. I think he's pretty smart, even though he's kind of a dick. I think he has he wants to be president. Can he be president? Was he born here? Where was he born? I thought he was born overseas. Hold on, I have to scroll up to something. Tesla is having a bad guidance. Incoming mineral shortage is a problem. Yeah, I was reading about that. I also saw that China had orders for electric vehicles were way lower than what they were expecting. So that's what hurt Tesla a few days ago. It was under 1,000 for the first time in, I don't know, a couple weeks or days or whatever. Yeah, South African. He can't be president. No startup cost for an established. Yeah, I mean, I think Trump probably should have done that, right? Instead of starting his own. Does anyone even use Trump's? I mean, Trump doesn't have the money that Elon has, so he couldn't have bought it anyway. But I think, I think Elon was doing what Trump wishes he could have done. Yeah, he's South African. He can't be president. I don't know the whole thing about Elon. I don't know too much about him other than PayPal and Tesla. Hold on, I got some comments, but they have disappeared. And I don't know if Iris is still in here, but she sent me a text saying that my live was being wonky. So if my live is being wonky, let me know. And in the meantime, okay, here we go. Getting into lithium mining. Here for the stocks, not vids. What's up? Let me know where you guys are from in the comments, because something's going on. Iris was just texting me about my live being weird and something was off. I don't know what that means. So throw down some comments or hit some likes or something. Northern Virginia, I'm in DC. Buffalo. My cousin's from Buffalo. You know my cousin, Dina? Nothing weird on my end. Okay, good. Southwest Florida, Hammond, Indiana. Looks fine to me. I don't know what was going on. She sent me a screenshot, but I can't click on it without leaving the live. So find out when I end this live. Virginia Beach. No, I don't think markets are going to tank hard. I don't think they're going to tank hard unless something really happens. I mean, outside of inflation, I don't think there's going to be a housing crisis, because we're not doing the subprime mortgage stuff that got us into this mess in the first place. You think we're rotating out of oil stocks yet? Rotating out of them long term? I think we're always going to have a use for oil and energy. I think this whole thing with Russia is definitely has all of the oil and energy stocks on kind of high alert. Because that's what they want with Ukraine, right? They want the oil and they want all where do they bring the ships in? What's it called? The ports and stuff like that. Any interesting stocks to watch out for? I don't really recommend individual stocks, just because I've built this whole channel around teaching you how to find your own stuff to invest and trade in. But I would say electric vehicles, charging station stocks, cannabis stocks, especially if they legalize it, could all be interesting. I'm always bullish on the market. I think short term there's some issues. I think short term maybe a little bearish, but that's just a great opportunity to load up on my investments, Beth, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to load up on any stuff that I really do like long term. Still trading Funko, yeah. I am. Actually, I just did a video on Funko a few days ago on here. Yeah, I'm still trading Funko. I did a video yesterday. Someone asked about trading range, support and resistance. I did a video on how to find all of that using Funko, because the trading range on Funko is pretty reliable as a swing trading stock over the last 180 days. Beth, I bought Palantir Leaps that were doing very well for a while, but have since sold off, and I have some other Leaps. Do you have any other source of income aside from trading? For the last 11 years, no. well, my long-term investments and my dividend stocks, for the last 11 years, no. I have had no other source of additional income, no other odd jobs or side hustles or weekend jobs or part-time jobs. I am just a stock trader. The only new source of income that I have is thanks to this app and sponsorships. I've gotten a couple sponsorships. I've done a couple of sponsored videos for like crypto.com, some crypto exchange companies like Iras, which I don't personally use, but I verified with all of my crypto friends and they said that it's fine. They like it, they trust it, they know it. So I've done a couple sponsorships with them and they have some pretty interesting stuff. And the sponsorships really, at times, like I make more through those than I do from trading stocks, but that's all very new. That's within the last, I'd say 5 or 6 months on TikTok are these sponsorships as a source of income. Other than that, nope. I don't have any income properties. I don't have any rentals or anything like that. Not a landlord. Don't really want to be a landlord, although they make some pretty good money. Maybe an Airbnb is in my future one day. Charlie, no, I don't have a daily goal. I don't set daily goals because I feel like it puts too much pressure on me as a stock trader to feel obligated to make a trade because I have that daily goal, right? So if my daily goal is $200, $500, whatever number it is, and I haven't hit it by the middle of the afternoon, then you start to get anxious. You start to feel like there's pressure. You got to find something. You have to make a trade. You got to make a trade because you have to hit your goal. And that sort of mentality can get a lot of stock traders in hey, slave to the frame. We're twins. I'll do all your stunt work. I got you. Don't hurt yourself. So I don't have a daily goal for that reason because I don't want to get into the mindset of making trades because I feel like I have to because I have to hit my goal. I want to make trades that I think have the highest probability of working in my favor, not because I have to make a certain amount of money for the day. And so I don't set daily. I do set weekly or monthly goals, but those numbers change depending on how my trades go. So if I have a goal for the week, and it also depends on how the markets are doing overall, right? Some weeks are really, really quiet. Some weeks are really, really strong, and I make way more than I was thinking. So then I can take it easy on the last couple weeks of the month or last few days, whatever, however it goes. The couch is ready for you. Daily goals are stressful. Yeah, daily goals, they're not my thing. My daily watch list. So if you've ever watched any of my videos where I show my computer screen, I have like the flexible grid set up from TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim, and you can see there's usually like 6 stocks on my flexible grid that I'm keeping an eye on, and then I have a couple more charts to the side. So anywhere from like, and then I have my RSI stock screener on the page as well, and sometimes they're similar stocks as what's on the flexible grid, and sometimes they're additional. So on my watch list, it could be anywhere from on the watch list, it would be anywhere from 6 to 10 to 12 stocks that I'm keeping an eye on at all times. I'll also say this: I set alerts on every stock that I'm interested in. Like Kits King just asked if I still trade Funko. I have alerts at like in the high 15s to alert me if that stock gets down to that price. So right now I think Funko's in like the 17s. I don't have to look at it. I don't have to look at the chart. All I have is I have my alert and I can go about my business. I can trade other stocks. I can go to the gym. I can go to Whole Foods. I'll get that alert. Funko just crossed below your key, below your alert level or whatever. Then I can pull it up and I can look and make a trade. Dogecoin. Dogecoin. No, I mean, it could, I guess. I don't know. It came close to it once. And it came close to it once on just hype. If they have real utility behind it and more people take it seriously and start using it for more things outside of AMC using it as a gimmick, which, it's a cool headline, but is anyone actually buying movie tickets with Dogecoin? If some real utility comes up behind it, and I suppose it's possible. Let me read some of these questions. Slave to the frame. What would you invest in to benefit from a market crash? I would look up, I'm doing a video on this soon. Dividend Aristocrats. These are companies that have not cut their dividend. Not only have they not cut it, but they've raised it consistently every year for at least 25 years. And they're the big names, the big banks, the pharmaceutical companies, the Johnson and Johnsons, IBMs of the world. I'm pretty sure Walmart's probably on the list. Big companies. I would buy those companies that have a track record of consistency, companies who have never cut their dividend in at least a 25-year period or longer. I would look to stocks that, or I would look to companies. If you think a crash is coming, I would look to companies that are like evergreen kind of stocks. Like they're not trendy stocks. It's not like luxury goods or fancy cars or stuff like that. I would look for the stuff that you need all the time, year round. Look for stuff like Dollar General. If you think a recession is coming and people are going to be conserving their money, look for Dollar Tree store stocks, Five Below, Costco, where they can get stuff in bulk, energy stocks. There are some ETFs like, I can't remember what it's called. American Tower, I think, is the name of the ticker symbol. It's AMT. They own all of the land. It's a REIT. It's a real estate trust. They own all of the cell phone towers. You're going to be using your cell phone no matter what, forever, right? It doesn't come and go. Oh, things are good, things are bad. Your cell phone is your cell phone. So that's another good recession proof. Like everything goes down if there's a recession. The objective is to find the stuff that will go down the least. Also, maybe like McDonald's. If you're on a budget, you can't afford to eat McDonald's. Beth, in a trading slump these last couple weeks, any advice on how to get out of it? I've been in a trading slump too. The only thing I can say is it's probably something that's happening to a lot of us because the markets are so, lately. This is another reason, though, why it's important to live below your means and have your emergency fund, because there are times where there are no trades, you're in a slump. And the worst part about it, too, and I see a lot of comments, so I'm going to get to it in a second, but the worst part of social media is you can be in a slump, and in your little bubble of one, you might just be like, oh, well, I'm in a slump, whatever. The worst part about social media is you come on and you see a lot of traders who are crushing it, and they're having great profits and great gains, and you're like, how come he's having wins and I'm not? And then you start comparing yourself to other traders. But I have also noticed that a lot of traders on here that I'm friends with have also been in slumps. I use CD Ameritrade, Slave to the Frame. Thank you. Everyone should follow him. He's a friend. He's really cool, and he does a lot of very helpful videos. Very bad day. Hey, Papa Joe, very bad day in the market. Sorry. Beth was just saying that she's in a slump too. Soder Alex, I use TD Ameritrade, and I use their Think or Swim app for the phone and platform for my computer. Hey, David. This guy right here, David Carranza, is the reason I'm on TikTok. And his dog just passed away, so I'm really sorry. I hope you're feeling a little better. But David is the reason I'm on. I would not be on TikTok if it wasn't for David. There you go. There you go. Cliff, great content. Thank you. Charlie, what's your style patterns or support and resistance? So my style patterns, I like to trade support and resistance lines, trading ranges like we were talking about with Funko. If you go back on my channel and go back down a couple of videos, you'll find when I think the headline is support and resistance. That's a prime example of how I trade a stock like Funko. I also like to buy stocks that are oversold and have consolidated and having the Bollinger Bands narrow together, which just indicates that there is a likelihood of a breakout. I use relative strength index not only to know when to buy, but also to sell. Whoa, what did I hit? Sorry if I did something weird to the live. Let me go through some of these comments here. David, love you back. Okay, I think I'm all caught up on the questions. It was a little wonky earlier. What do you think about 10-year yield, and is there a point where I'm not an economist, so I'm not really the one to ask about 10-year yields. That's more of a question for whatever that guy's name is on CNBC, who yells a lot. Rick something. He's the yield guy. I don't know too much about that. But if anyone else does in the comments, leave a message. Thanks, brother. You go live in the morning before the markets? No, I normally don't go live in the mornings before the markets because I don't wake up that early. Yeah, that's my thing. Look, I mean, you know, it always bugs me when people on this app come out and they pretend that they know everything about everything. You know, I don't know everything about everything. I'll send you to, you know who else might know the yield question is Options Trading Daily. Connor might know that. He's pretty smart about that kind of stuff. Charlie, yeah, I don't wake up. I wake up at like 9:20. I'm not really one who like looks into the pre-market too much, unless something unless something really crazy is happening the night before, and then I think like, oh gee, I better be up early in the morning. Yeah, Connor will definitely know. David, actually, that's funny because I just put a note down on my at my desk to do a video on the VIX, so stay tuned. Chuck TN, what book helped you out when you first started? If you go into my bio and you click on my link tree, I hope it's my link tree in the bio now. I think it might have one of those like sponsored post links that I did. Well, check back tonight. When I end this live, I'll go in and I'll put in my link tree. There's 2 books that I recommend there in my link tree. One is called The Neatest Little Guide to Stock Market Investing. That's how I learned to invest. And the other one that I bought was Nicholas Darvis's book called How I Made $2 Million in the Stock Market, which sounds like a gimmicky title. But consider the fact that he wrote that book in the late 1950s and early 60s. And that $2 million definitely is a lot more significant. And maybe they didn't have gimmicky book titles like that back then. But that's the book that I read to learn about swing trading, which is what I have basically done for the last 11 years. So I read those 2 books. And there are links in my link tree, so you can click directly on them, or you can go on Amazon right now and buy them. Darvis's book, I think, is like $5. And it's like literally, it's like this big. It's not Shopify stock is splitting. Is this like a breaking news thing? Because I have to like leave this live and go make a video about it. I didn't know that. ESP Runner, what criteria do you use for scanning stocks? So I have a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel on stock screeners. I think I probably have some on here as well for stock screeners. It depends. I think I have like 6 stock screeners saved on my Thinkorswim or on my TD Ameritrade website for various things, right? So looking for stocks that are oversold, looking for stocks that are having Bollinger Band breakouts to the upside, looking for stocks that are overbought if I wanted to buy a put or short something, looking for gap ups, pre-market gap ups, even though I said I'm not up pre-market. Sometimes, I'll run a if I am, and I'm looking for a stock that maybe is having some momentum and I can jump in for a very quick like scalp trade. Maybe I'll run like a pre-market screener for gap ups if I'm awake. Papa Joe, bad day in the market. What happened? Like just in general or something for you? So that's the criteria that I use for screening stocks. Also, because I'm a stock trader, generally I will... I'm so glad that you said that. She said I'm basic. I'm so glad you said that. I'm going to respond in a second. And I because I'm a stock trader, I look for stocks that are under $5. So that's the other thing in my criteria. Sometimes I'll look for stocks that are hitting new 52-week highs. because I like momentum investing. So if stocks are going up, I like to try to like get in on some of that last minute momentum, but I definitely keep an eye on the relative strength index too, because I don't want to be buying something at the very, very top right before it dumps and everyone takes profits. Okay, so she said I'm basic. You said, so advice from the 50s and 60s is still relevant. I wouldn't have guessed it. I said the exact same thing when I read that book. I said there is no way that stock trading advice from the 1950s is going to hold up today, because we have smartphones and screeners and apps and computers and technology and all of that stuff. Hey, Khalifa Kid, we have all this technology now, and the world has changed. There's the internet now. Like, the internet didn't exist in the 50s and 60s. There's no way this is going to hold up. But essentially, all this guy was talking about in the 1950s and 60s is buying momentum stocks. So he had this whole method for finding stocks that were hitting new 52-week highs, and he would, over a period of time, he would track these stocks over a 3-day period. And as long as it closed higher on the third day, this is basically like what he gathered his own data and intel from tracking these stocks for years and years, is that he noticed that, like, his analogy was something with like a basketball player. Like, right before you go to take your shot, you squat down a little bit. So he noticed that similar pattern in stocks where they would hit a new high, it would pull off a little bit, and then it would go even higher. And so that was his analogy to basketball. And so if the stock, in other words, didn't go higher on the third day, maybe the momentum was over, and if he was in it, he would cut and take his profit or his loss. If he was looking to make a trade and it didn't close higher on the third day, then he would move on and find something else. And basically what he found was, more often than not, these stocks continued their rally into these, he called them Darvis boxes, of new highs and higher highs and higher highs. And I thought, no way is this going to hold up today. That was 11 years ago, and it's basically what I've been doing ever since. Seal stock, Sealos has fallen huge. I'm writing it down. If you're ever in my lives, you know I always say, I wish I had some paper so I could write these things down. But now I have paper, because I've learned from my mistakes. Seal, I've never heard of it. I'll look it up, and I'll do a video on it if you'd like. Psych ETFs, Sealos, MindMed. I don't know what any of these stocks are. What is it? What does Sealos do? Oh, Sealos. I spelled it wrong. Sorry. Sealos. I'll look it up. Any other investing questions? I was watching Moon Knight on Disney. Really weird. Oh, psychedelics. Wait, someone's saying they'll be back. Your kid is calling, but I'll be back. All right, see you later. It's a penny stock under $1. Psychedelic medicine. Had good predictions late last year, but then tanked. Beth, have you ever gone through a phase where you only trade one ticker? Yeah, actually, in like maybe 2018. In 2018, I think I traded Funko exclusively for like 6 months. It was the only stock that I traded, and it was because every couple of days it bounced from 18 to 21 or some number like that. I don't know if that was the exact number, but it was basically like a $2 to $3 range that it would just back and forth. Almost, no, I would swing trade it. I would swing trade Funko. I would buy in at, I can't remember the specific numbers, but let's just say 18 to 21. I would buy in at 18 on average, in that range. And then I would sell it at 21, and then it would drop to 18, and I'd buy it back, and up to 21, and I'd sell it. And it just kept over and over. And I didn't have to I didn't have to trade anything else, and I would start to buy gradually larger positions. One of the things that I like to do is I start small with new trades, and sometimes I won't even make a trade the first couple times. I'll just watch it, because I want to see if it establishes a pattern or a trading range or something like that. So people always feel so compelled, like they have to be in every trade. You don't have to be in every trade. Sometimes it's okay to sit back and just watch. And your first thought might be like, oh, damn it, I missed that trade. I could have made money. But what you really should be thinking is like, hey, this is the third time this stock has worked in this range. That gives you a little bit more confidence as a stock trader that it might continue to do that. And of course, things can change and it can break support and dump way lower the day you buy it, or it can break resistance and skyrocket on the day you didn't buy it. So there's 1,000 unknowns. There's 1,000 unknowns. Did you check that BlackRock has invested in the stablecoin? I have. Whoa, Magic Internet. Whoa. Does anyone else hear that? It plays music. Music box. I love it. Do they have an air fryer gift that we can send each other? Yeah, Funko. I mean, why trade anything else? Like, if you have something that is that consistently reliable, why always be looking for the next big winner or the next hot stock or the next whatever? If you can make consistent, like, that's basically what I did. I traded Funko for like 6 or 8 months, almost exclusively. I'm sure I traded other stocks here and there, but you know, basically Funko in 2018. Tell the Apple story, Papa Joe. The Apple story. I will tell literally. Redneck Jedi just bought an air fryer yesterday. Well, you should follow Magic Internet Money because he is obsessed with air fryers. Do you hold any Canadian companies? I think I have one, and I can't remember what it is. It's a cannabis company. Tilray is Canadian, right? If Tilray is the Canadian cannabis company, then I have Tilray. Magic Internet Money, you're damn right. They should have an air fryer gift. Beth, I trade Tesla options exclusively. Do you trade options? No, I don't. I've lost money. I've lost more money trading options than I have lost trading anything else ever. So I kind of learned my lesson. It's just not what I'm good at. I don't need to. I'm good with my stocks. Other people prefer options. If they have figured out a way to do it and make money off of it, good for them. And you can follow them. What's his name? Connor Options Trading Daily. I think her name is. I don't remember what her username is. Kelly Angel Bay something trader. She does options. There was a guy named Just a Noob Trader, but he got booted. He got his account got shut down because of some super right wing political stuff, I think. But he was an options trader and he was pretty good at it. Papa Joe, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm going to tell you the Apple story in a second, especially for anyone who yeah, they shut down his account. I don't know what he posted, but he was gone suddenly. I don't know what he did other than he was live with someone who's like a fairly big like leftist politically left guy on here. He was in the live with that guy talking about the insurrection on January 6th and how nobody got hurt and it was very peaceful. And I think a lot of people must have just reported him. Or maybe he made a video and I never saw it. But I went to tag him in a comment because someone said, I want to learn how to trade options. So I said, go follow this guy. And I typed in his name and account was gone. 0 followers, 0 everything. Hey, Malibu. Hello. Hi. Holly, yes, I have a lot of long-term dividend positions. I've got my index fund. Div is an index fund as well. I have Johnson & Johnson and Procter & Gamble. I have, what's the other dividend stock that I have? I have a whole bunch of dividend stocks. NOBL, I don't own, but I like. It's the Dividend Aristocrat ETF. Um, I have that. I have other dividend stocks. Yes, the answer is I have a lot of dividend stocks. Now I want to get to Papa Joe because he's asking for this Apple story. If you don't know my Apple story, it's a nightmare. You would think that by now, because I've been telling the story for so many years, I would have it like really like concise, um, like really concisely down. But the basic Apple story is in 2003, I graduated high school, and I got an Apple laptop as my graduation present. And I looked around, and all of my friends had Apple products. This was 2003, so the iPod and iTunes were like relatively new, and they were relatively new. And I just noticed that like everyone in my graduating class was getting some sort of Apple product or many Apple products. And I went home, and my mom had a stockbroker who was also like my stockbroker. And I called him and I said, I have $3,000 in my savings account from like, I used to cat sit and walk dogs. And I don't do those. Iron condor or butterfly, I don't do. But Beth might have an answer right above you. And I had $3,000 in my savings account, and I really wanted 300 shares of Apple stock, which was $9 a share. So I called my broker and I said, I want 300 shares of Apple stock. He was much older, and he said, nobody wants to own music on the computer. They want physical tapes and records and CDs. Nobody wants to buy music on a computer. It's a passing trend. It's a niche product, and Apple has done nothing since the 80s. And I said, but I think, like, I didn't know how to say any of the proper stuff. I was 18. I didn't know how to say they're a disruptor. I didn't know how to say Apple is innovating and they have all this new tech. I didn't know how to make a case for anything. I just said, I really want it. And he was like, you're wasting your money. You're throwing your money away. So he said, call me in a week. If you still want it, we can talk. Well, a week later, Apple had gone from $9 to like $11 or $12 a share. And I was furious because I couldn't get that like even 300 shares anymore. It would be like 270 or 250. And I was really angry. And he said, you're wasting your money, but if you want some, you can get 100 shares. He really didn't believe in the company. So I got my 100 shares. And I think relatively like not too long after that, Apple split. They did a 2-for-1 split. And I thought, because I didn't know anything, I was 18, I thought I had doubled my money. So I called him and I said, sell 100 of those, or sell, I had 200 shares now. So I said, sell 100. I want my bonus money. And I didn't say that. I said, just sell 100 shares. So he sold the 100 shares. And he said, so why'd you decide to sell if you believe in this company? And I said, well, I just got bonus money. I just doubled my thing. And he was like, oh, that's not how splits work at all. And he explained it to me, and I was like, shit. So after the fact, too little, too late, I had sold. And then in 2008, Apple had gotten up to like $700 or $800 a share before it came crashing down. And I called him in a panic, and I was like, what do I do? And he was like, sell it, get rid of it. Basically, like the world was ending, which is fine for your clients who are in their 60s and 70s and who are retiring. But I was like 20 something years old. You know, I was like 20 years old or something like that, early 20s. He should have said to me, if this is a company you love and you believe in so much, buy more Apple stock now that it's $69 a share. Instead, he said, sell it. I listened because he was the professional. I sold my Apple stock that I had purchased at around 11. I sold at 69. After that, oh wait, I think I misspoke when I said it was $700. It was $200. It got up to around $200 before the recession, dropped to 69. After I sold it, then it skyrocketed and went up to basically almost $700 a share. At which point they did a big split and it dropped to $90 a share. And I had decided, this is Apple. Can't go wrong with Apple. I bought 100 shares at 90, cost me almost $10,000 basically. And I got my 100 shares of Apple, which I've since grown into a much larger position. Plus they've done some splits and stuff like that. And if you leave this live and you go on my page, one of the pinned videos says $3 million. Click it and watch it. It explains how I could have turned my teeny Apple investment of a few thousand to almost $3 million had I just bought and held through all of the splits, which obviously now that I didn't do. So I'm pretty it sucks. And people always say like, well, but would you have kept it? Would you have kept it? And at the time when I was 18, all I knew was buy and hold investing. I looked at my grandma and my mom who were really long term. They just bought and they held forever. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably would have sold at some point to take some profits, but I was in that mindset when I was 18 that you buy and you hold stocks forever. So I probably would have kept it, at least some of it. What's the next Apple? I don't know. You sort of have to think like I thought when I was 18. All of a sudden, everyone has an Apple, right? Everyone's getting iPods, everyone's getting iTunes gift cards, everyone's getting their computers. You have to look around and you have to see what is the next big thing that everyone is obsessed with that maybe has staying power and can convert people over and over. David is saying Tesla. Um, it's entirely possible, especially if Tesla keeps splitting. It's entirely possible. Think about this. Apple has 16 billion shares on the market. But they didn't always have 16 billion. They just did splits and splits and more shares and more shares and more shares. So it's entirely possible with Tesla, who currently only has a billion shares on the market, that Tesla could split 5 or 6 more times over the next 20, 30 years, and could, if you have a good amount of shares, could create the next wave of millionaire investors. So I definitely believe that Tesla has the room to make people super rich if they buy and hold, assuming that everything goes according to their plan and the electric vehicles, and we can figure out how to increase charge time and stuff with the batteries, because they have issues with the lithium and the mining and all of that stuff. I think, and also keep in mind that people are so hyper focused in the right now with Tesla, right? They're like, it's just cars and the cars are shitty and the batteries and the charge time. Think like Apple, right? Apple was computers, and then they were music, and then they were iPods, and then they were phones, and then now they're watches. Companies as big and powerful as Tesla don't have a 30-year they aren't ignorant, and they aren't just like, oh, what are we going to do next? Like, these guys have major plans for the future. Amazon, Google, I'm sure a lot of major companies have plans 20 and 30 years out that we can't even begin to imagine some of the stuff that they're probably working on for decades out. So Tesla right now is electric cars and chargers, and they have some solar stuff. Who knows what this company is going to be, in a decade? And they have massive cash. They have a huge amount of cash, so they can also buy stuff. Yeah, we all know Tesla isn't just EVs. Let me read some of this because I've been thinking a lot for a while. Hey, Completely Lawless is in here. Split coming there too. Yeah, there's a split coming there. Someone also just told me that Shopify was going to split, but I'm doing this live, so I can't verify that. But I'm going to write that down on my list too. Shop, split, and I'll make a video on it if they are doing a split. I also have to scroll up. Malibu Catnaps asked me something about, do you think NEO will rebound to previous highs? I don't pay too much attention to NEO. I don't know what they're currently trading at, and I don't know what their highs were, but I do know that there was a big article this morning that said electric vehicle sales in China were way down, which is why Tesla dropped and some other electric vehicle things dropped. So could they hit their highs again? Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be, at least in the short term, anytime soon. Let me scroll up here. What should we buy and have the same luck as Apple? Yeah, I wish I knew. Do you prefer using an EMA or BOLL? You mean like Bollinger Bands? I use moving averages and Bollinger Bands, unless BOLL stands for something else that I don't know. In terms of handheld tech, I don't foresee an affordable tech that's like Apple. Neither do I. The spectacles, like the wearable stuff, maybe like metaverse stuff. I don't know if you would consider that handheld if you're wearing it on your face, but I definitely think metaverse is going to be huge. I just watched a podcast the other day with Taylor Price, who's apparently like she's huge. It was so weird to me about TikTok is like there are so many people with these mega followings that you like I never heard of them, and then I click on their page and they have 1 million followers. Taylor Price has 1.2 million followers, and she just did an interview with my friend Seth and Russ, Invest with Russ, and there was another guy on there too named Mark Setlock or something like that, who's also almost at 1 million followers. I never heard of him either. And she was asking in this podcast about the metaverse and if there's a place for influencers in the metaverse. And so thinking into, you said Malibu Catnaps was talking about in terms of handheld tech, I don't foresee affordable tech like Apple. Maybe the metaverse with the Oculus and the like metaverse, like the glasses, could be. I think we could be doing this live in the metaverse, and I could see all of you in like an audience, in like a crowd, and it could be interactive. Instead of you typing your questions, we could have an actual conversation. So yeah, I think there's a huge place for the metaverse for creators. Hey, Stonk Queen, you were actually, that's funny that you commented, because you're one of the people I messaged you after I saw you. I saw everyone should go follow Stonk Queen right now. I saw her; she was in an article in the New York Times or something, and I was like, "Who is this?" Like that's what I was talking about. I was like, "Who are these people? Like I've never heard of them." And went on her page, and she had like 200,000 followers, and I was like, "How can someone with such a large following in the same field of like stocks have not crossed my path once in the almost 2 years that I've been on this app? How could I have never heard of her?" And now we're friends, and there she is, and you should go follow her. And we're going to do some sort of collaboration soon. That should be kind of fun. Artist Pyrosa, I don't know if that's how I'm saying it correctly, but what is your biggest profit on a swing trade? I have 3, and they were all dumb luck profits. The three biggest profits that I had as a swing trader are Kodak, which I just happened to be trading. Like I just happened, it was like if you've been in this live the whole time, I was talking about finding stocks to trade in trading ranges. Kodak was like $2, $2.20, $2, $2.20, and I was like, man, if I buy like 2,000 shares of this thing every time it's at 2, I can make $400 every time it hits 220, and then it drops to 2. I can do the same thing over and over. So I was buying pretty large positions in Kodak, and at this one particular time, I had purchased 2,000 shares at around $2, and it ended up dropping to 180, which is normally where I would like consider to like cut profits. But it bottomed out and it held at 180, and I bought another 1,000 shares. And then for whatever reason, Donald Trump decided that Kodak was going to come up with a vaccine for COVID, which made no sense to me because they're a camera company and they produce film and chemicals, but they're not like a lab. Like they're making chemicals in their lab for photography, but not vaccines. And I was just like, okay, thank you, because the stock went like this. I mean, the whole story is a little bit longer, but basically, a tweet had been posted and then immediately deleted that said, news is coming out that is going to affect Kodak, the town in New York, and the world. And I was like, what could this be? And then the tweet was deleted, but the stock surged. So I sold a little bit, and then they were like, tomorrow we'll tell you the big news. So, I held it, and then I woke up in the middle of the night to check like pre-market, or I woke up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, and it was like $11. And I was like, oh my God, because I had bought it at 2 or 180. So I sold a little bit more, and when markets opened, it just went. It got like to 14, and then it was halted, and then 20, and it was halted. I don't remember exactly what it got up to. Maybe it got up to like $70 that day. I sold all the way up into the 50s, maybe, or the 60s, and then I kept like 100. I basically sold the entire position in the one day, and then I kept like 100 shares just for like funsies, like moonbagging it, like Wendio says, like just to see what would happen. And then of course it like immediately tanked. So smart on me. That was my first massive profit. My second big profit was Dogecoin, which I bought kind of as a joke. And it skyrocketed and I sold it, and then I bought it back and it skyrocketed and I sold it, and then it dropped and I bought it back and then it skyrocketed again. And I was like, man, and this was around the time that Elon was going to go on Saturday Night Live. And I was basically out of it at like 50 or 60 cents. And they were like, oh, it's going to go to $1. It's going to go to $1. And I was like, man, I had sold it already. I still had a little bit, like I said, like that moon bag thing. Like I just kept a little bit just in case. But I was like, man, my profit's going to be like, if this thing goes to $1, my profit could have been huge. But of course, we know now that it didn't. So that's the other method, or the other lesson here is take your profits along the way and hold a little bit just for funsies. But don't get so like caught up in like, we do that math, right? We do the math where like, if I buy it at 10 cents and it goes to $1 and I have this many shares, I'm going to make this amount of money. So I'm not going to sell it until it gets to that fantasy price. What if it doesn't get to that fantasy price? And then my third biggest profit was AMC, which I think probably happened around the same time as Dogecoin-ish, maybe. I don't really remember when Dogecoin was doing its thing. But AMC, another dumb luck trade. I tend to keep my trades very like small profits consistently, right? Like I was just talking about, $400 over and over and over trading Kodak. Funko, also $400 over and over. Every time it got into 18, I would buy. Every time it would hit like 21, I would sell. And I could do this over and over and over and make little amounts that became really, really big. That's the way I like to trade. The only reason that I had these massive profits in these stocks was because I was just kind of like, let's see where it goes and I'll take profits along the way. But the third biggest one was AMC. I had AMC as a stock that I was trading. I was literally just, like I was talking about with the other two stocks, trading it in its range. I think I had seen something on CNBC, which I don't really watch a lot, but I had it on as background noise, and they were talking about COVID is coming and the movie theaters are going to shut down. And I thought, okay, they're going to shut down temporarily. No one knows how long this COVID is going to last. I'm going to buy AMC stock as a long-term hold, or as a relatively long, like, over a year, just for a COVID recovery. That's what I would call it, like a COVID recovery stock. I'm going to buy it. The minute they come out and they say, movie theaters are open, AMC is going to surge, and I'll sell it. That was my plan. Right after this was a stock that I had been trading prior to that, but then I decided I'm going to buy some as this like COVID recovery. So I went and I bought a pretty large position of AMC, and then kind of forgot about it. And then the GameStop thing happened and the stock skyrocketed, and again, sold in bits and pieces along the way up and kept a little bit of a moon bag. So that's a very long answer to your question. You're saying that's awesome. You sound like a good trader. Honestly, a lot of it was just dumb luck, right place, right time. Kodak, dumb luck. Dogecoin, dumb luck, and AMC. I just happened to get into those stocks for stock trades. The only thing that wasn't dumb luck was that I was able to look at the charts and go, whoa, something's happening here, or paying attention to this like meme stock movement and go, I don't really need the money, and this something is like happening here. At the same time, by the way, my TikTok account grew from 30,000 followers to 110,000 followers in 2 days, and it was endless GameStop and AMC, GameStop and AMC. At the same time that these stocks were going absolutely wild, so I was using that sort of like data to be like, something's going on here. I'm just going to hold and take profits along the way. But I'm not so concerned about these teeny profits right now. I'm going to step back and wait and see what happens. Stonk Queen. Wait, no way. I was the same on AMC. I had it as a legit hold and then banked. That's exactly what I did. Because I think I bought it. I can't remember what I bought it at, but I looked at the most recent high prior to the whole GameStop thing, and it was like $20. And then I bought it around $2 or $3. And I was like, well, if it gets up to what it was like pre-COVID when things were good a few years ago or whatever, if it gets up into the 20s, that's where I'll sell it. Maybe this could take a year, maybe it could take a little bit longer, but I'm going to long-term invest it. And I hit my goal within like a few days after the GameStop thing happened. I was like, start selling. Oh my God, Danny, I just looked 9.1 thousand likes. I did take a look at Mount. Yes, password too long. Hey, uh, I like all your. I had a guy in my comments yesterday saying now do Nancy Pelosi when I was talking about Elon and his whole thing, and I thought about you. Um, what was the stock you made a TikTok about in relation to what? In relation to my account blowing up? It was AMC and GameStop. Um, everyone hit the screen so I can get to 10,000 so Danny can stop. Danny can stop. I think he's like single-handedly the person who got me to 9.3 thousand likes. So give him a break. Start hitting that keyboard so he doesn't have to. You don't have to do that. I appreciate it, but you really don't have to do that. Hold on, I have to scroll up. Stonk Queen. Did you take a look at Macy's? Does it bounce? Yes, I did look at Macy's, and you were right. The stock, the trading range, and all that stuff. I've been keeping an eye on it. I traded Macy's once a long time ago, a couple years ago. I think it was like $5, and I traded it, and then I kind of forgot about it. There we are. We're at 10,000. You guys can stop hitting the screen now. Do you have unlimited day trades? Yeah. Oh, you mean like because of the pattern day trading? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have the. Hey, she said I'm basic. I saw you. You're back. Yes, I have unlimited day trades, but I don't day trade. Really, I mean, I maybe make a few day trades every couple weeks. Danny, you can stop hitting the likes. Oh, Malibu. What's for dinner? Wait, hold on. What's for dinner? Why are you eating dinner? It's 10 o'clock. Where do you live, Danny? J W N. And I'm gonna write your name down so I can text you later. Malibu. Catnaps. I'll look at it. Rice and eggs. Yum. What do you think? What point do you think? Oh, Las Vegas. So you're behind. Okay. Enjoy your dinner, and thank you for those likes. You didn't have to do that. What do you think? AMC is a good buy again? 7 to 9. I don't think AMC will get down to 7 or 9. I think too many people are holding it long term. That are, a mixture of some hedge funds and some people who are just holding it for life. But if AMC did get to 7 or 9, I would buy a little bit more, just because it does have the tendency to pop occasionally when meme stocks are trending, or if they have some sort of good news, or even gimmicky news like accepting Dogecoin. Abdul 0908, you mostly swing trade? Yes. I've been swing trading for the last 11 years. And I only switched to day trading over the last couple of years when the market volatility was just too volatile and too unpredictable. And I know stock trading is generally unpredictable and all of that stuff. You can't time the bottom, and there's no such thing as perfect entry and stuff. But it was a little bit more predictable, and now it's just so volatile. Over the last 4 years, it became so volatile that I didn't feel comfortable holding stocks for more than a few days, especially over the weekends, because with COVID, anything could happen. And they would say, for example, like, on Saturday, oh, there's really bad news. And I would be like, oh man, market's going to dump on Monday. And then they would dump, and then the next day they would be right back up. And I noticed with like these big swings that I could probably make more money day trading than swing trading. And I did. I had my best 2 years during COVID, which also was probably in part to all of these new traders coming in. But the market volatility just lent itself, in my opinion, to day trading. So that's what I did. Karen's, hey, I recognize your username. DKS has a pretty nice range. Oh, do they? I'll put them on my list too. Now that I have paper here. Yes, I sold HNRG this morning. DKS. Peck City, hey, what's up? Was someone else talking about? You might be right, but I don't really trade options too much. But I'm sure you are, because I'm sure you're right, because I think options trading daily, I think he does that. I think some other people do too. Peg City, you're back. It said you just joined. Did you accidentally swipe away? I've done that. Oh, here I see it. Malibu Catnaps. I'm telling you to buy JWN. I can tell you that they are doing incredibly well this quarter. I don't know what they do. Maybe I know the name, but I don't recognize the ticker symbol. But I'll check it out. I can't believe that Danny guy, like, almost single-handedly gave me 10,000 likes. Oh, Nordstrom. Nordstrom. I'll look into it. I haven't looked at their stock in years. Peg City, bad weather? Why? Where are you? Where's the bad weather? I'm in DC. It's just hot. It feels hot. Remember to stay hydrated, everybody. Peg City, I'm waiting for you to tell me where you are. Um, 100K job, 40-hour a week, or trading with 50K as a starter. Are you saying that you work a $100,000 a year job and you work 40 hours a week, and you're thinking about taking 50 to trade? Or are you asking me, would I rather have $100,000 a year and work 40 hours a week, or trade with 50 as a starter? I would. So 50 is what I started trading with, because I had a lot of money saved up, because I'd been living at home and I'd been working in the restaurant and fitness industry for years. A lot of double, even sometimes triple shifts, where I would just work like all the time. Yeah, how to lose 50K in your first month of trading. That would be a nightmare, wouldn't it? So I started with around 50,000. Not to say that I made $50,000 trades, right? I wouldn't spend 50,000 on one single trade. I would take my 50 grand and I would divide it between a handful of different trades, right? 500 shares, 1,000 shares in stocks that were under $5. Maybe stocks like Funko that were $17 to $20 a share. I'd buy 200 to 300 shares. And that's what I did. You don't have to. You don't have to trade with the full 50. Just stick with an index, 50K a year, and you can probably retire in 12 years. That's also man, if you put 50,000 a year into an index, you could retire pretty soon. I would imagine. I have to do that math. That would be a fun one to do. Smartasset.com has a great investing calculator where you type in how much you start with, how much you add yearly, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever, how much you expect it to return every year. Keep in mind that the average index fund, like Peg City is saying, the average S&P 500 index fund returns anywhere from 10 to 11% per year. Some people say it's about 8 if you factor in inflation. And then you put in how many years, and you can get your number. How much it is expected to grow by 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Personally, $100,000 a year, stable income, 40 hours a week, depending on how young you are, and depending on your living situation and your financial obligations. Like, do you have a partner who's stay at home? Do you have elderly parents you're taking care of? Do you have kids? Do you have pets? Do you have a mortgage? If you are very young and you're able to live at home or live with a bunch of friends in a house and keep your costs really low, do what Peg City says. Be miserable for a couple of years. Save. You want your rainy day money, but put as much as you possibly can in your index funds. A little, maybe, if you want, into some crypto. A little into some individual stocks that maybe you really like or really believe in. Maybe a little bit into some speculative plays. Not really necessary, but if you heard of some company that really intrigued you, but they were a startup, um, put in a little bit there. Don't make the mistake that a lot of new investors make, which is a little bit into the boring stuff and a lot into the risk. Do it the opposite, right? A lot into the boring stuff and a little into the risk. Since you didn't respond, I'm just going to assume that I was right and you've been listening this whole time. Their full line and off price coupled with online channels is rocking. Oh, interesting. I don't know. I don't know much about the clothing. I get my clothes from like the Gap. The shirt was like $12 on sale. So I don't know too much about that sector. Where do people get their clothes? Most people don't. I think of Nordstrom like a mall. And when I go to Nordstrom at the mall, like if I'm at the mall, Nordstrom is like the store nobody wants to go into. So that's interesting. Maybe the online thing has really helped them get out of their like stigma of being like the gross store at the mall. Peg City, blizzard in North Dakota and Manitoba. My friend Meg BZK or ZBK or whatever her initials are, she's in Canada and it's snowing a lot there. I think it's snowing in Oregon too. My first ETF was a $27,000 Vanguard with $12,000 a year. 8 years ago, it's worth $200,000 now. I love it. That $200,000 is your next Lambo. Completely lawless. Do you think we're back in store for a 6 to 8% return years as the economy slows and rates rise? 6 to 8% return in the markets or GDP? What do you mean? Or what do you mean 6 to 8% return in what? In the markets? I don't know if the economy is really slowing that much. But the rate rise could hurt it, which, that's one way to get inflation down. So a short-term temporary slowdown in the markets, short-term might be one of the only ways to bring down inflation. The problem is that you have to raise the rates higher than the rate of inflation to really, really stop it. And they're not going to do that. They're going to raise the interest rate to 7%. And then that would really slow down stuff. A quarter of a percent, like quarter of a basis point at a time, interest rate rises. What's it really going to do? Hey, MC Dana. Mick Dana? What is it? How do I say it? But yes, you have caught me live. I'm here. I'm answering your investing questions. I don't know if I answered your question properly, completely lawless, but I'm not an economist. MC Dana. You're an MC? Peck City, are you seeing Greta Van Fleet on tour this year? I would love to. I listened to them like nonstop for a while. When I first heard about them, I put them on and I was like, is Led Zeppelin back together? And then I read some articles and they were like, comparing Greta Van Fleet to Led Zeppelin and in like a negative way. And I was like, they're all like, these guys are like early 20s, like, they'll find their own style, but I didn't think it was like the worst thing that they sounded like Led Zeppelin. Like, you pay homage to the bands that influenced you. What was the big deal? I love their music. I would love to see them. And the coolest thing was I was watching TV and there was like a commercial or whatever on YouTube or something, Metallica on tour with Greta Van Fleet. And I was like, who's Greta Van Fleet? Like, I thought it was like Greta Van Fleet sounds like, Alanis Morissette, something like that. So I was like, this isn't odd. And that's the first time I'd ever heard of them. and I loved them. They're talking about several half-point increases for the next few years, or next few meetings, quarters. I think it's quarters, and yeah, and I also read that they were going to do. Oh yeah, half point. Yeah. They were going to do quarter at a time, and then an article came out a week ago or something saying that they were actually thinking of doing half point at a time. I think really like just talking about it is actually part of the strategy to kind of get inflation down. Like the way you get inflation down is people spend a little bit less and everything cools down. You know, we have easy money. Um, we have very easy money coming in and at very low rates to borrow or no rates to borrow, which creates a huge demand in products, right? So people are rushing out to buy products. There isn't enough inventory. There aren't enough workers in a lot of places because of COVID. So that's how you get into the situation where we have so much demand and not a lot of supply, and that causes inflation. It also causes companies to be dicks. I think a lot of companies blame it on inflation. Oh, it's inflation related, when it really is just corporate greed. So I'm sure there's a little of that going in as well. And then, so just talking about it sometimes is part of the strategy. You threaten people. Oh, we're going to hit you with a really high interest rate, and everyone goes and they start to reserve. Right? They hold on to their money because they're expecting some huge interest rate rise. So they kind of hoard their money and they cut back on their spending and they don't really buy a whole lot. And that is a way to try to fight some level of inflation, whether it'll work or not. There you go. It's a PR and marketing react. It's PR and markets react. Yeah. Abdul, do you think a 401k is good or Roth IRA is better? So to be totally honest with you, I've never worked a 9 to 5 job like in an office. I worked restaurant industry as like a line cook, and then I worked fitness as like a front desk, like pick up the phone and I'll sign you up for the spin class. I've never worked in an office. I've never had a 401k. I didn't go to college. I didn't study finance. I'm not an economist. I'm not a financial advisor. So when it comes to 401ks, I can't tell you if they're good or bad because I don't know anything about them because I never really bothered to learn because it never applied to me. Roth IRAs are fantastic. It's taxed when the money goes in, you're taxed, not when the money comes out. You can only contribute. It changes every couple of years. This year, the max is $6,000. If you can contribute $6,000 into your Roth IRA, do it. If you have a 401k and you have employee match where they match it, I don't know much about it, because it's not my thing. But some people say employee match isn't so great. Other people they love it. That man Brent, you answer it, Brent. You answer it, and then I'll learn something. And I've got my notes, so I can learn from this too. If you can contribute. Oh, the other thing I'll say about a Roth IRA, and Abdul, I don't know you, but a lot of people don't realize that the Roth IRA isn't actually an investment. It's just an account. So people have, I've gotten DMs from people saying, "Hey, I put $5,000 into my Roth IRA, and I checked it a year later, and it was still $5,000. Like not even $5,000.25. It was still 5,000. This thing sucks." And you would say, "Well, what did you invest in?" And they'd be like, "I invested in the Roth IRA." Like they think that's the ETF or the index fund or whatever. So you gotta. Would you ever get a Series 7? Do you think? Wow, that is some typo or autocorrect, or that is a word I just do not know. Do you think, man, Lawless, what was that? Oh, individually. Man, is my brain just not working? Because I could have figured that out. No, I have no interest in getting a Series 7. I've talked to people who have Series 7 exams, and they just basically answer the phone all day and they tell their customers, tell me about your financial situation. Yeah, we'll buy you some index funds. I'll put you in this Vanguard thing. Let's get you into some Apple stock. That seems so unfulfilling and one-on-one to me. I feel like I can do. I feel like plus it's a job. It's work. I would have a job. I would have to wake up 9 to 5. Maybe I would work in an office. Maybe I could work from home. Now, that just seems not fulfilling to me, you know? I think I have greater impact here on TikTok helping people learn how to trade and invest. Maybe I make less money doing it. Um, but, and I don't know if I'm going to be a trader for life. ERK Felix, how did you start trading? What made you look into it? What made me look into trading was that I had always been interested in investing very casually, like as a teenager. Like I loved McDonald's, so I was like, I should have McDonald's stock. I'm a big pro wrestling fan, so when WWE went public, I was like, this makes sense. You buy what you like. Apple, if you were in here earlier and you heard my Apple story, if you didn't, you can go on my YouTube channel and watch my Apple story. I bought what I knew, and that was kind of it. I started trading because I was working at a gym and I was making $7.25 an hour, and I couldn't do it forever. Didn't want to do it forever. They were offering me membership sales, and I was like, this seems just very soul sucking. Quotas and deadlines and micromanagement and getting yelled at. Did you follow up on your leads today? And I was just like, I can't do this. And there was a guy who worked at the gym who was really interested in stock trading, but he had no idea what he was talking about. And I would listen to him like a dumbass. And he would tell me what he was buying. I would go and I would buy the stock. I would lose tons of money. And I was like, what is this? And there were these older guys at the gym who also traded stocks. And I would just eavesdrop on them, like when they were talking about, like, oh, I bought some of this, I bought some of that. And I would go home like a dumbass and buy thousands of shares of these garbage companies. And I kept losing money. And that's that moment where someone says, well, trading isn't for me. But the way I saw it was, if I'm losing money, like someone's out there doing this correctly. And if I can figure out how to do this correctly, then I can, maybe this can be what I do. And because I had worked in the restaurant industry, double shifts for many years, the fitness industry, double shifts for many years, and was living at home, I had a lot of money saved up. And I thought, if I can learn this properly, this might be what I can do. And then I don't have to do membership sales. I don't have to have a manager yelling at me. I don't have to be standing on the sidewalk when people walk by saying, oh, excuse me, would you be interested in the day pass? Which isn't a knock against membership salespeople. It's what I thought I would be really good at. It's just that the corporate culture shifted at the time and it became way too stressful of a job. And I had no interest in that. So I thought, if I can trade stocks and make it work, then I'm going to do that. Shalom, back to you. Wellington 1. How do you know there's a guy on here on TikTok looks exactly like you? He also does stocks. Who? Who is he? I'm really curious. Hold on, I'm catching up on some of these on some of these Lawless, how about a private fund for 50 of us? That would be fun. I'd be interested in that. I don't know how do you run a fund? Can I just start a hedge fund? How do you do it? Or an index fund? Peg City, are you still watching AEW or WWE? Yes and yes. Well, not so much to WWE because I watched Monday Night Raw recently and it was just awful. I couldn't get through it. I did watch WrestleMania both nights, which I don't like. I don't like that it's two nights. I missed the one night. That being said, I thought it was a really good WrestleMania. I would have paid $1,000 to watch Stone Cold's match. I had the smile on my face the whole time. I loved it. If you're a wrestling fan, Stone Cold had his first match in 19 years. I was expecting that it was just going to be punch, kick, slam, stunner, match is over. The guy wrestled for 20 full minutes. It was great. Is WWE floored? What do you mean floored? I thought it was you for the longest time, but he does it in Spanish. Can you find who that is? Wellington 1. I'm really curious who looks like me and talks about stocks but is Spanish. Please, if you follow him, go leave my life and come back and tell me who it is because I'm dying to know. Hold on, I missed a lot of things. Jesse, I don't know if you're still in here. What do you think of POAI? I can tell you, I think nothing of it because I've never heard of it. POAI. If you want to go on one of my videos and comment and ask me that question there, I can do a video response, or I can let you know later after I look at it. Lawless 401k employer match is literally free money. Take every penny you can. Why these companies are splitting this year? Yeah, I think a lot of these companies are splitting just because it's like the hot story, right? It's like, what's the next one that's going to do it? Someone earlier in my live said Shopify is splitting. Since I am live, I can't check to see if it's true, but that would be huge, and I'll make a video on it right after this live if they are. Shopify. Oh, so I think they're splitting right now because these stocks are extremely overvalued, or not overvalued, but they're very expensive. $3,000, $2,500, and it's just it really doesn't really affect anything with the stock. So it could just be like a hot story for these companies. Which one's going to be the next one? I'm not really sure why they've all suddenly decided to start doing it. I'm sure there's a reason. Maybe it'll occur to me when I end this live. Oh, hold on. I got to write this guy down. The bald guy who looks like me and does stocks, but in Spanish. Spanglish Trades. Spanglish Trades. And your username is Wellington1. And I'll go look at him and then I'll tag you in the video so I can say, hey, you were right. Huh. Oh, user 315. Is it acting? Yeah, 100%. Pro wrestling is completely scripted. It's booked months in advance. They know exactly what's going to happen with the storylines, unless someone gets injured, which can throw things for a loop. It is completely scripted. It is not fake in the sense that they're not getting hurt. I broke my back training to be a professional wrestler, like literally landed, broke my back. They tear ACLs, meniscus, neck stuff. There was a Japanese wrestler last night. I can't remember his last name, Oshiro or something, who was German suplexed into the turnbuckle and is paralyzed from the neck down. Happened yesterday. Big E, who's a pro wrestler in WWE, got belly-to-belly suplexed about a month ago on SmackDown, landed right on his head, broke his neck. He's not paralyzed because his neck is like this big. He's very lucky. There are unbelievable injuries that happen. Spanish Trader, holy shit, it's your brother. Hey, Jonathan Judas. I didn't have a wrestling name. Wrestling sort of moved away from the names. The names like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker. All of those names were a 90s thing when WWF back then was trying to compete with, G.I. Joe and cartoons and stuff. So I didn't really have one. I mean, if you look at some of the guys' names today, Elias, John Cena, Kevin Owens, they're just names. So I didn't have one. Abdul, how do I stay disciplined with trading? That's a great question, and I have a great answer for you, and that is to be consistent, to take smaller profits, not to try to always be looking for the next hot stock. I go into the gym sometimes, and people are like, what's the next AMC? What's the next? And it's like, don't worry about that. Like, if they come, and that's cool. But your focus shouldn't be trying to find the next stock that's going to go up 100%. Your focus should be trying to get comfortable with the idea of small, consistent profits. And I say small, but it really depends on how much you're trading with, right? If you're buying a $2 stock, for example, if it's $2 and you have $2,000 to trade, and you buy 1,000 shares, and the stock goes from 2 to 220, you've made $200. But if you were trading with 10,000 or 100,000, it would be different. So small profits is relative. The other thing I would say is if you're starting out as a new trader, focus more on percentages. Even though I just said $200, focus more on percentages than dollars, because you might not have 10,000 to trade with. That's okay. What you're really trying to get is the experience and the and the comfort and the discipline to know when to enter, know when to exit, stick to your plan. You have a plan, not just to take profits, but also when to take losses. Most traders are out of stock trades at around 7%. If it starts to go down, they cut at 7%. 3 to 5%, in my opinion, isn't enough. Stocks will go down 3% and they'll come right back up. So why would you get out at 3%? On the other hand, 10% is 10% of your money. That's a lot. So stick with the percentages when you're new, because if you're trading with a very small amount of money and you make $20 on a trade, you might go, $20? But that could be 20%. It could be 10%. It could be 15%. And that is significant. The percentage is what's significant as a new trader. But have your plan and stick to it. Don't worry about having off days. They happen all the time. I've been trading for 11 years. I still have off days. Don't worry about not being able to, about missing a trade, right? If you miss the trade, if you look at something and you go, oh, I almost bought it. Don't chase. Don't be irrational. Don't be irrational. Don't be impulsive. Being impulsive will kill you as a stock trader. Y'all give similar tip advice, but in Spanish. Weird. I'm going to have to go. I can't wait to go see this guy. Why is everyone laughing? Oh, 90s wrestling was the best. I love 90s wrestling. 80s was great too. Legion of Doom. Come on. They were 90s too. Superfluous Tuna. I don't like Superfluous Superfly, but that's Jimmy Snuka. I can't steal his gimmick. Even though he's dead. He's dead, right? I think so, but also wasn't alive, so I didn't experience it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 80s wrestling was great. You don't need to you can find 80s stuff on YouTube. Amazing. Memphis Wrestling, Jerry Lawler and Macho Man and stuff like that in the 80s. They had some wild matches. Let's see here. What did I miss? Oh, Jonathan Judas. How's the hamburger restaurant? Man, I had no idea. That's so funny. You're Jonathan Judas. The family business is this burger restaurant in Lafayette, Louisiana. And funny enough, I have a friend who lives in Lafayette, Louisiana. And when Judas posted on TikTok last week that they own this restaurant, I went to my friend and I said, have you ever heard of this place? And she was like, I eat there all the time. When was the last time you were live? A month ago, maybe? I don't go live too often these days. But I was talking to some other people that I'm friends with on this app. Chart Trader. I don't know if any of you follow him. His name is Evan Evans. He said that he goes live every morning and gets like 200 followers every time he goes live. So I'm trying to go live a little more. 3,600 burgers in 4 hours. You must have planned to do some serious business to have that kind of inventory, right? I mean, what kind of inventory do you have? How many burgers do you sell normally in a day? And then how do you calculate you sold out? Yeah. And then how do you calculate on a big day, like it was your anniversary or something? How do you calculate, like, if we sell this amount of burgers on a normal day and it's our anniversary and we're hyping it up, like at what? I'm just so curious because I love the restaurant industry. At what point, like, how much do you order? Do you just order, like, do you just go crazy and go like, yeah, let's get like 4,000 burgers and that should be enough? And then if we sell out, whatever. I'm really interested. And I like burgers too. I love burgers. Honestly, I think I could eat them every day. Do you eat them every day? Do you get tired of burgers? Also, why don't you have French fries? Your chips. You don't have French fries. Do you not have a deep fryer? Do you not want a deep fry? Is it a family thing where you just had chips your whole time? No onion rings, no tater tots, just chips? I want to know why. And what kind of chips? Do you make your own chips? Do you sell bags? Any advice when you get stuck in a shares offering? Do you mean like if shares offering? Do you mean if you own a company and something and they announce that they're doing a secondary offering and the stock tanks because it's a secondary offering and everyone freaks out? Is that what you mean? Because yeah, you could cut losses if you wanted to, if it was just a stock that you were trading. If it's something that you're investing in long term and it's a company you really believe in, you could always buy more. I think that secondary offering announcements are usually like secondary offerings are usually like a story that comes out and temporarily brings down the stock, and then gradually it comes back up, unless it's really bad, unless they're bringing in so many new shares that it's going to dilute things, and maybe it's a sign of financial trouble. Sometimes they do a secondary offering because they want to purchase another company or expand their research and development or pay off some debt or something like that. It depends on the reason. It's not always the worst thing in the world. Sometimes it's an excuse to add to your position. If the news is really bad, then yeah, you cut losses. Sometimes the news comes out after hours, though, and you don't find out until the next morning when the stock is already down 15%. And then sometimes you kind of just stuck. It was more of a thank you to Lafayette for the last 75 years. 75 years is incredible to have a hamburger restaurant for 75 years. Do you only have the one location? I didn't really look on your website, but I got questions. No chips because of room for the fryer, and it made it a marketing thing. How are you doing in trade so far in 2022? The first few months. Well, I was thinking like September, but that wasn't of 2022. But September and October were really, really slow. Things picked up in January. It's been kind of slow. Beth was in here earlier, and she was talking about being in a slump. I was also in a little bit of a slump. The stuff with Russia happened. Inflation has made me a little bit nervous. A lot of the stuff that I normally trade has been really flat lately. Like I talked about earlier. Hey, Miles. Hello. A lot of the stuff that I normally trade and has been pretty consistent has been really flat or has just been consistently going lower. So I've stepped back. So I have kind of taken a little bit of a backseat to trading these last few. We're in April. The last 3 months have been kind of slow. Recently, though, for whatever reason, like I was talking about, HNRG, Haldor Energy, is a stock that I've been trading with some success over the last couple of weeks, has been a good one. You have a good way to make money when the market is going down. Yeah, you can buy puts. You can short stocks if we are in a consistent downtrend. Shorting stocks as a strategy generally makes me pretty nervous because I'm more optimistic about the markets. But if there's a very short term, you can wait, is options trading daily in here? Are you in here and you just didn't say anything and someone saw you come in? Is that what's happening right now? You can buy puts. One option would be, like, as a stock trader, I noticed that if a stock is overbought and it looks like it's going to be pulling off, you could short it. You could buy puts. That's one way to make money if the markets are going down. Inverse ETFs are another way, but I don't really mess with those. Again, because I'm more of an optimist. Other ways to make money when the markets are going down outside of trading, and what I have been doing personally, is more sponsored posts right here on TikTok. I've been doing a lot of sponsored posts. So that makes me money when the markets are quiet. I always plan as a trader to have quiet times in the market, whether it's personal reasons or the markets are just kind of trading flat or sideways or down. I always plan for this. So I have reserve capital so I can pay my bills and not freak out. And as always, things recover and things return. You don't know when it's going to be. So, you can take it easy. You can go on a vacation if you want. But what I've been doing is sponsored posts. Bring me in some revenue when things have dried up. Oh, the reason I was talking about the I live below my means and I have my rainy day fund. So I'm not particularly worried about the slump, but it is nice now to have these sponsored posts to have some extra income coming in. Even though I don't need it, I still appreciate it. Who asked me? Peg City, favorite Summerslam matches? God, favorite Summerslam. I mean, Rock versus Brock Lesnar was a SummerSlam match, and that was pretty good. I remember the WrestleMania matches more than I remember the SummerSlam matches off the top of my head. Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio had an amazing SummerSlam match that I happened to be at. It was right here in Washington, D.C. That's my Mick Foley plug. That I think it was a ladder match, and I think it was really, really good. Shawn Michaels also versus Hulk Hogan at that same SummerSlam in D.C. I thought the match was amazing in person, and when I went back to watch it later, I was kind of stunned by how bad it was. Let me scroll up here. Ask Carby, are you a day trader? No, I am a swing trader. I day trade occasionally, but normally I don't day trade. Normally I swing trade. Do you know what happened to Stock Market Daddy? I don't know who that is. Oh, and Jonathan Judah saying I have dividend yield for stagnant market times. Yes, of course. That's a very good point. In down markets, dividend stocks are always great to carry you through the quiet times. Hey, Connor, we were just talking about you. Talking shit. No, we were talking about Options Trading Daily, who's right up there. Everyone should go follow him. If you have options questions, Connor, I got a lot of options questions earlier. Daily options, short-term options, leap options. Someone was telling me they trade options, daily. Huh. Is that why you have your username, Options Trading Daily? Oops. Whoa, hold on. I missed the question. Damn it. What am I doing here? I'm basically ETF buying and long-term value holding. Yeah. That's also what I do during market downturns. I just add to my investments. Day trading math is hard by statistics standards. Yeah. And I just day trading, I feel like there's too much pressure on me as a day trader to find stocks to trade. Sometimes you got to buy really large positions because you're expecting a very quick turnaround, right? You're not thinking, I'm going to buy the stock and in the next 2 weeks, maybe it goes up 15%. You're thinking, unless you get lucky and you get something that's gapping up huge on some big volume, maybe you make 7%, 5% or something. So you have to throw in a lot of money to make money on a very small price move. So, hey, options trading, did you miss my whole thing, Connor? Did you miss the whole thing that I was just talking about you? Because you weren't in here, you left. Damn it. Connor. Everyone go follow Connor. I had a lot of questions in here earlier about people asking about short-term options, daily options, how to trade options, long-term like leaps and stuff like that. You just have to find the right mentor if you're new to day trading. Yeah, Josh. Does anyone in here follow Alpha Day Trading? His name is Josh Howerton, and he just bought a boat. He's a day trader. He has like a group where they go every morning. He goes live every morning. Chart Trader, who I was talking about earlier, Evan Evans. He is a day trader too. If you want to go follow them, let me see if I can. I see Coach. You just followed me. Thank you. Alpha Day Trading. Kits King, you're in the Alpha Day Trading. Great. Josh is cool. He's a friend of mine. You're on his team. Oh, someone should tag him so he can come in here. Can I add him to the thing? How do I invite him? Don't go anywhere. Alpha. Josh Howerton. I'm going to send him this live. And I'm going to say, sorry if my phone is moving because I'm on my tripod and I'm typing. We're talking about you in my live. Send. Oh, damn it. Connor sent it to him. All that typing. Look up Slater Trades. I don't know him, but I recognize that name. And also, I have to find that guy, Spanglish Trades, who people say looks like me, but he's in Spanish. Never heard of him. Yeah, the mental stress doesn't play into my favor. I don't like feeling like I'm obligated to find a trade because I have to make one. Sometimes, like I was watching Evan, Chart Traders. I was watching Evan's video, his live yesterday morning, and there was a stock, IVDA, and he bought it, and he kept buying it on the way up, and he was like, I just bought more, and then it tanked, and he sold it. And then it started to move back up, and he's like, I'm getting back in, and he bought it, and it tanked, and he sold it. And he was like, all right, we're on to the next, and I was just like, nah, this isn't for me. Then I went back this morning to look at it, and it had gone from like $2.50 where he was buying it to like $4.60 towards the end of the day. So if he was a swing trader, he would have made money on that trade. What's your username for Alpha Day Trading? I sent it to him, and Connor sent it to him too. So maybe he'll show up, and we can get him to. Oh, you mean in his group? Never mind. But I did do a lot of day trading over the last few years. Back when Trump was president and the markets were so volatile, every few days. Not that it was. I mean, some of it was Trump because he would go on Twitter and he'd be like this, and then markets would tank. But a lot of it was also COVID and people working from home and new traders coming in and not knowing what they were doing, and just all of that, everything played into it being much better for me to day trade when the markets are volatile. Covfefe Index. Yeah. What would that be? What would even be in that fund? All of his airlines, his steak, his magazine, his vodka, his wine, his real estate, his casinos. I wouldn't invest in that. Although DWAC, his social media, I think that the app is basically dead, right? Nobody really uses it, but the stock was nuts for a minute. Except Marjorie Taylor Greene's dumbass put in like $50,000. So good. I think she's a Nazi anyway. Sorry, I don't talk politics, but that woman's nuts. The index measure Trump tweets impact on the market. Is that real? Because that would be hilarious. Except that he can't tweet anymore. They took it away from him. I think Elon's going to reinstate Trump's Twitter, and then the internet will blow up. Oh, it is real? You're serious? That's real? That's a real thing? Okay, I'll look it up. What am I missing? You guys are talking. Agreed, even regular investing is so much mental. That makes sense? Yeah. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to call it a day. I was watching Moon Knight on the Disney thing, Oscar Isaac's new show. I only got in one episode and then was like, I'm going to go live. I will look up that Covfefe Index. I'm very curious about that. And I'm also going to look up Spanglish Trades, who someone in this live says looks like me, but is Spanish. S. Carby, you followed me. I thought you've been following me. I recognize your username. Did you unfollow me and then refollow me? Or have you never followed me and I just didn't know who you were? I thought you were someone else. I thought S. Garby, that username looks really familiar to me. But thank you for the follow. Do a Trump versus Elon tweet comparison. That would be really funny. Elon tweets, Elon's tweets, like that Dogecoin thing. You remember that? Like at the height of the Dogecoin thing when Elon would tweet? Man, that thing would rocket. Oh, Chad is in here. Disco Kiss, I see you. Chad, say something. Chad, say something if you're still in here. I can tell people to go follow you. Did he leave already? Oh, Chad's a trainer at my gym. I'm going to call him out tomorrow when I see him. Always good to hear from you, too. And good luck when you start trading. I want updates. Everybody, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to go look to see if Shopify is really splitting because someone said it was earlier. And I want to look and see if it's going to split. Any last questions before I go? Hey, Majestic. Hey. Yeah. Were you in here this whole time? Thanks for being in here. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.